Alrighty, welcome to this video, and in today's video I'll be taking you step by step through a lower body routine focused on improving strength and stability for runners. So this will help to reduce injury risk and make you a stronger, more efficient runner. Now, as I've mentioned in videos in the past, running is often a form of movement associated with suffering and injuries. Many people despise running and view it as a chore. Personally, I find it a deeply rewarding and satisfying experience filled with personal growth and vitality. It is one of the main movement patterns of the human being, and it gives us direct insight into the ebb and the flow, the ups and downs of daily life. Over the years, I've realised that in order to experience running at its highest enjoyment level, we must be strong. Our joints, our connective tissue, and our muscles must be primed correctly to absorb the forces placed on our body when we run. To enhance our running abilities, we can perform specific strength exercises that bulletproof our body and make us stronger, more efficient runners. In today's routine, we'll be focusing primarily on the lower body to increase range of motion, stability, and strength. This routine can be performed once a week for general maintenance of strength, or twice a week if you wish to test your abilities and improve your strength even further. I'll be giving examples of exercises from beginner through to more advanced levels so you can continue to return to this routine and progress through the different exercises as you get stronger over time. Please bear in mind that you only want to progress to the more advanced variations of each exercise once you have mastered the previous variation. Now, in terms of equipment needed for this routine, you'll need a TRX, also known as a suspension trainer. You'll need a step or a box depending on your level, and for advanced athletes you'll be needing some ankle weights. So with that being said, let's get into the routine. For exercise 1, we begin with a classic calf raise. Now we need an elevated surface like the step that I'm using as the example, and something for stability like a wall. Now we lower our heels down towards the floor so they are lower than the height of our toes. This is going to create a stretch in the back of our calf muscles. Now we hold this bottom position for 1 second, then we drive through our toes, raising our heels up towards the sky, and we hold this top position for 1 second, trying to feel a deep contraction in the back of our calf muscles. So we're to perform as many repetitions as we can for 1 minute with this exercise. And you can take as many breaks within this minute as you need. Now, when you get strong enough to perform the entire 1 minute without any rest, then you can progress to this one leg variation. So the one leg variation, we're performing the exact same technique, we just have one foot suspended in mid-air, so we're focusing on one leg at a time. This is going to require more strength in not only the foot and the calf muscles, but also right up into the stabilizing muscles in the hip. So try to aim for 10 repetitions on each leg when you progress to this exercise, and over time work your way up to 20 repetitions on each leg. Now for exercise 2, we're performing a knee drop squat, where the main focus here is to get our knees as far forward as we can while keeping our entire foot planted on the ground. So we slightly lean forward, pushing our hips back. We lower our knees forward and down as far as we can. Then we return to the standing position by flexing our quadricep muscles, which are in our thighs, and we straighten our legs out at the top. If you're struggling to feel muscle activation in your quadriceps and your thighs, then simply place your hands on them to gain more muscular feedback. So this exercise is designed to mobilize our calf and our ankle muscles, our knees, and also switch on our thigh muscles, which is going to relate to our running. So make sure you only go down as far as you can completely control. Focus on your stability of this movement and aim for 15 repetitions. Now for exercise 3, we're needing our TRX, or also known as suspension trainer, and we're placing our heels in the straps. Now we're lying on our back with our arms planted on the ground for stability, and we have a slight bend in our knees, and we're driving our hips up as high as we can towards the sky. Now the focus here is on the back of our thighs and our hamstring muscles, also our glute muscles and our lower back. So we are working on this connection that we need to generate power as we go through our running stride. Now we drive our arms into the ground, like I said, for stability, and we're focusing on squeezing our glute muscles at the top of the movement to generate as much extension in our hips as possible. Now the focus here is 15 repetitions. Now once you can perform 15 repetitions comfortably, you can progress to this next variation of the movement where we are performing this running motion with our legs. So we're alternating between one leg being bent, one leg being extended, driving our knee towards our body while the other leg's extended, and then alternating each leg at a time. So we're trying to keep this nice, smooth, fluid motion while also keeping our hips up as high towards the sky as we can the entire time. So we're maintaining this nice stable pelvis, keeping our glute muscles engaged while we work through our hamstrings. So if you progress to this variation, you're focusing on 10 repetitions on each leg. Now, once you have mastered that version, you can move on to level 3, where we're performing this hamstring curl with both legs at the same time now. So with this variation, we lower our hips down towards the floor with our legs extended, then we drive our heels towards the back of our legs, bending at the knee as we drive our hips up to the ceiling at the same time, contracting through the hamstrings and the back of our thighs, then we return to that position at the bottom once again. So every repetition we're trying to get our hips as high towards the sky as possible, while also getting our heels close as we can to the back of our legs to fully contract our hamstrings and the top of our calf muscles. So with this variation, we're aiming for 15 repetitions. Now pause the video here and return back to exercise 1. You are to perform exercises 1, 2 and 3 2 more times through now for a total of 3 rounds. Once you have performed 3 rounds of the first 3 exercises, then you can move on to the next 3. Now comes exercise 4, and we need an elevated surface that we can sit on, like this box, and we are raising one knee up towards the sky as high as we can, and then from there we extend our leg out, pointing our toes towards the sky, contracting through our hip and our quadricep muscles. So this is a very important connection that we must establish when we run to stabilize our hips. And we're focusing on keeping our knee up as high as we can as we go through each repetition. Keep your posture nice and tall, hold on to the surface that you are sitting on, and perform 10 repetitions on each leg. Now once you have mastered that first version of the exercise, you can perform the standing variation, where we are now focusing on stabilizing through our stationary leg and also working through the moving leg. So we're now working both legs simultaneously. Now during each repetition, return your foot down to a standing position just to give the stabilizing leg a slight rest. But the same rules apply. Point the toes up to the ceiling when you extend your leg. Keep a nice tall, strong posture through your spine the entire time, and you're performing 10 repetitions on each leg. Now for the third variation of this exercise, we are including ankle weights to increase more muscular demand. So remember, only progress to this exercise once you have mastered the previous version. And in this exercise, we're keeping the knee up the entire time to require more demand on the muscles, keeping a nice tall posture, and really focusing on the squeeze of the quadricep muscles and the hip muscles at the top of the motion, trying to keep the knee as high as possible the entire time, and a nice tall, strong posture. So once again, once you are performing this variation of the exercise, it is 10 repetitions on each leg. Now for exercise 5, we need a step or another elevated surface that we can lunge back on. So the focus on this exercise is on the descent of the lunge, which is on our way down towards the ground. So we slightly lean forward as we lower our body down towards the floor, and the goal here is a 3-second descent. So extend your airborne leg behind you as you slowly lower your body down. Once the feet touch the ground, lower as far down into a lunge as you can, and then return to this tall standing position with the moving leg now driving the knee up towards the sky. Now there are a few other details that we must focus in here to keep this movement safe. So our stationary stable leg, we're focusing on keeping that knee as stable as possible. We're leaning our body forward to load the hip on that stationary leg. This is going to help with our stability. And if you have any knee or mobility issues, then just focusing on lunging down as far as you can control without aggravating any problem areas you may have, and just working within the limits that you currently have. Over time, as your mobility, stability and strength increases, then you can safely increase the depth of your lunge, but never skip any of these steps if you are dealing with any current issues. Now we're also alternating our arm swing to mimic that of a runner. So on the way down, we are having the opposite hand to the stationary leg in front of our body. Then as we return to our standing position and we drive our knee up, we now alternate our arm position so the other hand is in front of our body to mimic a running stance. So you are to focus on 5 nice, slow, controlled repetitions on each leg with this exercise. And once you have mastered this version, then you can progress to a higher step as shown. And this variation simply requires more control and mobility. And we are also increasing the rep range to 8 reps per leg now. So the same techniques apply. We're focusing on a nice slow descent, controlling through the body. As we get stronger, we can lean forward further, we can drive our knee further forward, and we can go right down into this deep lunge as our strength progresses. So pick which variation suits your current strength level. Focus on the descent of the movement no matter what level you are performing. It is all about leg control and leg stability with this exercise. Nice and slow on the way down, and then powerful and controlled on the way up. So 5 repetitions for the first variation and 8 repetitions for the more advanced variation on the higher step. Now for exercise 6, we're performing the split stance deadlift. So you will need a kettlebell or a dumbbell. For beginners, do not worry about a weight. You can simply perform this movement with just your body weight. Now we're holding the weight in the hand that is the same side as the moving leg. However, our main focus here is on the stationary leg as we're loading the hip throughout this deadlift motion. So as we step back, we're keeping our spine nice and tall, we're keeping our pelvis level, and we're focusing on putting our weight on this front stationary leg to load the hip and also the thigh muscles on this leg. As we return to standing, imagine that you are pulling yourself back up with that stationary leg and using the least amount of assistance from the moving leg as possible. So pick a weight that you can control this movement through nice and smoothly. Make sure your spine is tall and under control the entire time, and you're performing 10 repetitions on each leg. Now once you have mastered that version, you can progress to this unassisted one-legged deadlift, where the moving leg now stays airborne the entire time. The same postural cues are the same. We want to keep the spine nice and tall the entire time, making sure our stationary leg is under control, is stable the entire time, and we're fully controlling the movement. So we are not letting the weight control us, we are under full control. So only progress to this version once you have mastered the previous version. And the same as the previous exercise, we are performing 10 repetitions on each leg for this one. Now once you have completed your deadlift, pause the video and return back to exercise 4, and you are to perform exercises 4, 5 and 6 for another 2 rounds. That will total 3 rounds by the time you've completed them, and that will be the routine complete. So to recap, perform this routine once a week for general maintenance and twice a week if you are more advanced. Please follow through the progressions safely and only progress to the more advanced versions of each given exercise when you have completely mastered the previous level of difficulty. It is extremely important that with any exercise you focus on your posture, your technique and your control. This is vital to truly gain the benefits of each given movement and to ultimately learn how your body works. So if you find this information helpful, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I have other training routines on my channel that you can check out, along with other training philosophies and other videos to come. So that is all for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.